the personality often. Secondly, I would request if you can give a quick brief about yourself so that we can get started. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Women Power team, for giving us this opportunity. So we have like 12:55, we'll finish by 1:30. So we'll try to make this next 35 minutes very empowering for all of us. So theme is growth hacking for business, building community to empower businesses and individuals. So the theme is going to be we'll try to have a much more engagement with the people. So what we will do, those who ask good questions. So I ask this question: how many of you believe that when such events are going on, people should ask more questions? So as Gandhiji said, be the change you wish to see in the world, be the individual who's going to ask more questions. And to encourage all of you to ask more questions, we'll have 4 prizes. I'll give you some nice books of a lot of good Indian authors. So our panelists will decide who asks those intelligent good questions. So, but those who have been, they will get a book. So if you can clap louder for the reward that we will announce. And if you clap louder, probably eChai and Ridhhi because team may not bigger rewards for asking good questions. So please help me in this little experiment with asking good questions to the panelists. We'll not go much into details, but I'll ask each of the panelists to briefly introduce about their work. They are panelists. Why you are panelists? What is the great thing you have done in your work about community? So you are here. Yes, probably just 1 or 2 minutes brief intro and get to the discussion. And every time I would request all of you to clap louder for them. So it's just 2 things. The first thing it does is it makes them very happy. So that candidly share about them. Also, it keeps the participant busy, so they don't start talking to each other when the session is going on. So I'll keep on asking you to clap louder for each of the answer. Yes.
Good morning. I'm Ridhhi, founder of Phyns Academy Private Limited. It's a training company. Founder of Lajja. It's India's first forum for women. I never missed to mention that. And founder of Creative Kids Library, which works for kids entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Again.
I'm Pavani, Agarwal, Director in Lux Infrastructure and Honorary Engineers and Industries Limited, as well as I'm the past chairperson of Ficci Ladies Organization. And as Jatin asked how we've interacted with the community, as the chairperson of Ficci, I had a golden opportunity of reaching out to a lot of women, not only who are our members, but also the grassroots level. And we conducted a lot of training programs for them so that we could lead them to either employment, better employment, and or entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Fine. All well? Anybody feeling cold? Then that also helps. This clapping business also helps keep yourself warm. I always struggle with this. Okay, before I introduce myself, let's make this interactive. We are not here to do any bhashan patti. Okay, let's make this interactive because at the end of the day, we're talking about community building, right? So, how many of you are building a community right now? Okay, it could be a Facebook group, it could be a WhatsApp group, it could be an actual platform, an app, anything. Okay, awesome. How many of you are aspiring community builders? Lovely, lovely. Okay. Yes, so I hope what we'll do is, though the topic is quite scary, we'll try to make it less scary. We'll just try to make it more palatable and because there's a lot of confusion. What I'm constantly asked. If anybody asks me what do you do, I build online communities. Okay. So then it becomes a little, and this happens everywhere, not just here. Matlab kya karte ho? So we'll try to decode that very soon. My name is Asha Chaudhary. In my past lifetime, I was an advertising professional for the longest time ever, and then I jumped into parenthood. Then from parenthood. When did I become a community builder? I didn't realize because it just happened to me. So I have co-founded one of India's first startup communities, online startup communities, which of course had many events as well. I have a few Rodden Hooders sitting here. I'm the co-founder of the Rodden Hoods. Post that, after I was burnt toast, we will talk about burnout as well. I started advising different other startup communities, and About somewhere this year it dawned upon me, it's high time I started something small, another small venture. So I have now founded Kids Book Cafe, which is a community for parents and children and book lovers to discover, recommend, review and buy children's books, right? So we will try and sort of make this a fun exercise for you. I think Jatin has a video which will clearly tell you. I mean, communities have been here for the longest time ever. This is a great example. I'll just add a quick note here that because everybody asks what are communities, this is a great example of having a community that existed all the while ago, except we didn't call it a community.
Awesome, thank you so much. And if you would have noticed when the session was at the panel, the fireside chat, Hiranmay has played a very central role. So good to see you. And I set up the stage for you. Now you have some more points about you. Like right now what you are doing and how you are doing. Yes, sir. If you can introduce yourself.
My experience into designing policy, help communities to get developed. I mean, me and Jatin have grown up the same era of building community for entrepreneurship. Probably Jatin has done more on private sector and more horizontal communities, and I'm more into deep public policy, government systems. Having said that, I have been closely working with around 100 plus universities and a couple of million students in this country, and helping ecosystem get built up, leveraging government frameworks. That's how Principal Secretary was here in the morning. So we have been doing fairly experiments in the last 5-10 years. Failed quite often, learned also certain lessons. But one thing we realized is the lateral support system, probably which you derive from so-called communities, is much more important than any particular facility that an entrepreneur need, like funding and all other aspects. Because those things can be filled in a very mechanized way, but many other support systems which an entrepreneur need, right from emotional support to the pat in the back, those are factors which generally get derived from so-called community, right? And I have seen Jatin building eChai from the scratch. There are certain experiments like that have happened in private sector and also in public sector. What we have looked in the government is, rather than, like some of you come from incubation acceleration industry, like ideas get incubated, in government we are trying to incubate even communities. Because what we have is probably some deep assets in terms of financial support, in terms of access to different markets as government as an enabler. So what we are looking at is, can these communities be supported or scaled through our posts? I mean, and there are a lot of pilot experiments has been done, and we're thinking how those things can be scaled. Because one of the things in probably public systems like government brings in is, whatever you have done at a certain scale can be taken to more people, and that's what I've been doing. I have been a part of the team who designed this MHRD's National Entrepreneurship Policy, which is now being implemented across 10,000 colleges in this country. And one of the ideas that we had is, rather than building new things, what we are looking at is, how do you create new processes, pedagogies, and systems, leveraging existing communities and framework that exist. We should create a win-win situation from both sides, so that we don't put our resources, which is a huge amount of taxpayer money, in reinventing new systems, rather than putting those resources behind you and then parking around your architecture here in software language called APIs. So we are trying to build upon your APIs that each of your support system has created and create a very, very homogeneous support systems in the startup India.
Okay, Thank you so much. We took 10 minutes in our introduction. The idea is to have all of you. And then something new gets started. That's a wrap. Everybody.
So, can I take the liberty of just decoding community first?
Yes, and then I will do this answer.
Okay. So, just very quickly, what is a community? So, it's a place where like-minded people hang out for a certain purpose. You need to define that purpose very clearly. It's a safe place, it's a non-judgmental place, and it's a place where you have meaningful conversations. Okay? So that's basically whether it's online, whether it's offline. So now this whole so you start a community. The easiest thing is to start a community. Yeah. And investing in a community is even easier. Okay? But keeping a community engaged, meaningful and relevant is the most difficult task. As a community builder, a community manager, you don't have to, you may not be the person who's investing the money, but you are the person who's going to be investing yourself to ensure your community is meaningful and relevant to everybody. Okay? So you have people joining in, you'll have your first 100 people, right? First 100 people on board are probably your friends, family, close friends, network. Yeah, please, मेरी community join कर, मेरे को इतने number तो चाहिए. So your first 100 are there, right? They will bring in the next 500, okay, and so forth. Now every community goes through phases where people, they obviously initially they're interested and then they move on. But that is a natural progression. What you need to do is, as a community builder, you need to ensure, A, you have your set of rock stars that I call, which in jargon are called power users or influencers. If their needs are fulfilled and they need to move on, so be it.
Okay.
Do not chase people. Please keep nurturing other rock stars. This is the biggest mistake I have seen other people doing. It's very fun when you can watch somebody else and then say, "Ye galat ho raha hai." But you need to rectify it. Because I like to help other communities and I keep telling them, you will, at any point of time, you will always have 100 rock stars. It will never increase to 101. So no matter how big you become, how big you scale, you'll always have 100. And that is absolutely okay. As long as you keep nurturing more and you get new and new power users who can help others, that is important. I'll give you a simple example since we're a lot of women here, and I once was a consultant to a parenting community. You have different stages. You have expecting moms, you have toddlers, or then you have the older kids, right? So when you're expecting, you're the one who's seeking help. You need the help most. When you become a new mom, you start sharing whatever you've learned. You need a lot of other help from older moms. But as you graduate, you're able to help the previous people who are in the other stage. So all I would request you is, if you are building a community, ensure that each stage is whatever it is. As long as they are progressing, you won't have this problem of, oh, where did my people go?
If you clap louder, it gives them the same zone. A level, everybody believes that we keep large industrial solutions. The architects is a awesome. So what are the challenges you face when you are learning people? The challenge is in terms of engaging people.
Yeah, so it's very important to be very relevant to what people are seeking. What happens very often is that you are not relevant, you lose track of the focus, and to keep on innovating also. Like big corporations have failed, just like Kodak or Nokia, they were giants at a time. They failed to keep up with the times. So it's very important that we keep up with the times, and also to increase the number of stakeholders, I think. So that there is a sense of ownership and belonging, where a lot of people are contributing to that infrastructure or that group. Then there is a sense of belonging, there is more ownership, and then there is more like generation of ideas, and like they pull in more people too.
Okay. Ridhhi, in your case, even so there is a financial, there is some business aspect to it. So what initially it becomes easier, business नहीं मेरा तो सोसाइटी के लिए करना क्या करना है तो easy होता है. But then there is a financial transaction, it becomes challenging. So any challenges you face when you move to those sides? Yes.
Challenges is like kind of never ending, Jatin, because Lacha works for development of women, yeah? And what happens is that we women still feel that we don't need to be developed, yeah? So we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about feminism, we talk about everything on earth, but we fail to talk about our self-development. So challenges we face at Lacha, because Lacha is thinking, we are 5 years down the lane, what people will need, what women will need, is what Lacha is doing right now. So too much of challenges we have. Yes, we do charge because we need to come up with the logistics, we need to go up with the logistics. But to get people, how many women, right now also if you see, how many really feel that they're going to benefit with such a wonderful event curated, you know? So that's the basic challenge, that women, to get them to understand that this is important. There have been times, because Lacha doesn't focus on numbers. We work at the grassroots level, we work with trauma-based, we work with sexually abused women, we work to the rural areas as well, and we have members who are VPs with companies, who are homemakers. So it's like two extent we have. There have been times that I have called up people and said that I don't want you to pay, but you please attend women, this event, because I am sure you will benefit by this. So benefit, yes. They need to understand first, you know, that's the biggest challenge that Lacha we are facing right now.
Okay, and Hiranmay, in your case you work with a lot of universities, they don't really focus on people. तो मेरे पास एक बड़ा इनोवेशन सेंटर है, 3 करोड़ का गवर्नमेंट से फंड आ गया और 5 साल के बाद एग्जैक्ट 1 साल में इम्प्लीमेंट ही करते हैं. So what are the challenges you face when you speak to them, how to get it done?
So it's very interesting because many often the early success models of communities do not get shared with others. Somehow they keep it quite close to their chest, so other doesn't know what exactly the secret sauce is. So one of the things that we are trying to do now is at least to decode what was the secret DNA for the early success of some of the communities that got built off, so that other can learn from it. Second thing is we realize that all these things will not happen by just because we are benevolent human being. We need to figure out an incentive model for that. Not necessarily that the consumer will pay for the incentive. Sometimes civil society can pay for it, sometimes public system can pay for it. So what we are trying from government now is to incentivize those communities. For example, I was trying to build a city-based startup ecosystem in Baroda, Rajkot, Surat. My Baroda efforts have been quite well. Surat is okay, Rajkot is too bad by now, right? So what we learned is there are certain things which work there, certain things didn't work there. What we are trying now is we are trying to incentivize those things which work better, and then provoking those people to talk more about them. You know, I mean, this is something that has worked for us, this is something not worked for us. And then we are trying to see that, okay, even if you have failed in doing certain experiments, it's not bad. I mean, like the moon landing experiment, right? I mean, experiments are experiments. So what we are trying to say to this community is, whatever the interface that you are putting in is not necessarily going to be a conclusion, but all the tacit knowledge that you have while building the community is also equally important than the tangible outcome that you get out of the community, right? So we are decoding the entire process. Financial incentive is one thing that we are doing that, okay, we need to figure out how it works. But one thing we realize is, even if we give financial supports and all, a lot of things are dependent on the leadership of those community processes. So we realize that, you know, even if we talk about machine learning, AI and all, ultimately it's a human hybrid build. So how do you find people? First of all, you don't get a lot of people to lead these organizations. So you don't get them landing from somewhere else. What you need to do is you need to nurture them, create them, right? So now we realize that our 30% of energy and focus has to be on building those kind of leadership who can manage those things. You know, I mean, those things really came to us as a learning. And then, literally speaking, I mean, IT industry has a lot of IT professional doctors are there, but managing, inspiring community, you don't get much people who can gel with all others and a little bit have more appetite. So one thing I think the real problem is, even if we have around 65 universities, we have funded them, we don't have 65 champions to lead them. So real problem is how do you really get those champions? And second thing is, even if you have one champion, how do you ensure that we all come out from our human limitation of, you know, excelling individually well, but not excelling in a collective spirit. So now the next challenge that we're trying to solve is, okay, even if you have created leadership, how do you ensure that they work together for the common purpose? right? And the third challenge is coming now is even if you have succeeded for 5 to 6 years, how do you sustain this kind of movement? Because doing something extraordinary, getting hyped and how having a wow party is one thing, but if you don't sustain these things for 2-3 decades, building ecosystem is not an overnight game. It's not even 5-year game. It's not a 5-year plan, right? So how do we ensure that this movement goes for 15, 20, 30 years? So those are 3 buckets of challenge. Leadership at the point, collaborations, and third thing is how do we sustain. These are 3 points that we are working on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Another 10 minutes for questions.
As a community leader, when, as you said, that people move on, people join in. But as a leader, how do you keep yourself inspired to do new things?
In the interest of having motivation, who should answer this question according to you? Sir, both of you. One individual whose answer will be used.
Okay, you can answer. Yeah.
Probably everybody can.
Thank you. So, yes, being a leader, being the founder of the community, it's very important for us to be a leader who understands the needs of the women, the people who are currently with us and the people who are supporting. So let me just explain the strategy of Lacha. So Lacha founded by me, agreed. But we have 16 people who are working after it, yeah? So we have a hierarchy set, then we have a core team, then we have chapter heads. So we have a presence in Ahmedabad, we have a presence in Bombay, Delhi, Pune. So they are the chapter heads who handles the chapter, you know? So it's not me who can micromanage everything. Okay, so it's very important to give out the responsibility, set the responsibility, and when you create a leader, there are 100 of leaders that person can create. That's how a community sustains. You know, it's not by one person that a community can run. And neither can we have people who can be with us forever, because as she rightly mentioned, the needs can change. You know, the needs change, the wants change, and that's how people come and go. But when you have a hierarchy set, when you process set, what happens is that that will not affect the numbers. The work is still on. I hope I could give justice to your question.
Okay, awesome. We'll be back for the break.
I'm living a community of solve lots of problems of the community. So do you think socialism can solve?
You need yes no answer or descriptive one?
Or descriptive one, not yes.
So yes no, everybody can give descriptive one person.
And how do you, even if whatever yes or no, but how
I
do you
think,
think it actually really resolve?
I think worldwide we've seen that socialism has failed. Even the biggest giant, when Russia and China, they moved away from socialism. So I don't, and I think socialism probably encourages laziness. Because when people are something, there are people, everybody's working, there are people who are working harder and yet they are getting less. There are people who are barely working, yet they are getting what the others are getting. So I think it encourages laziness and it discourages initiative.
But then if you build communities, it's about solving problems or listening to the community so that you are able to get the right stakeholders in the community. So in those scenarios, can't we moving towards socialism?
Who has to go?
I mean, those are all having.
I doubt if it's socialism. It's not really socialism.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm also in dilemma right now.
I'm averse to jargon, so I won't use the word socialism. I say every community needs to be inclusive. Okay. So when you are a community member, even if I am the founder, it's still just as much as your community as it's mine. Right? Now when people struggle on engaging communities, the first thing I say is shift the onus of engagement to the member. If you're a tech company, you say user. I don't like to use that word. I say member. Okay. So if you identify what core strengths some of your members have, and say, hey, can you lead this particular theme, this topic, this, like they call hook, engagement hooks. So if you can lead this certain thing, so when you make leaders out of your members, that makes your community inclusive and it makes everybody belongs to it. Okay? I don't know if I'm answering your question or not. So that is the only way you can, like when I would do events, there would be a fresh new organizing team each time. I've done at least 50 startup events in 5 years and across India, and every single city had a new organizing team every time. That's being inclusive. That's making everybody a part of the core team. So you have every person needs to have a sense of belonging in that community. Otherwise, why would they stay? If you're solving problems, yes. But if my problem is solved, I don't need to come back. Instead, if I feel that I have a sense of belonging and I can solve someone else's problem, that is a good thing. Right? So from becoming a seeker, you become a giver. Right? And this is an ongoing cycle. And like I was talking about, how people come and go. Sometimes, like suppose, like if you're catering to 0 to 5 years, if your members, their children are older than 5 years and you really want them to stay on and you want to make it more relevant, then you have to introduce content related to them or make some activities that are relevant to them, right? If you cannot, if you are, you know that you're focused between only this target audience, then it's okay. Don't feel bad if they go.
Yeah, awesome. Specific question, louder.
My question is to Ridhhi. You mentioned regarding we should choose leaders and create content more leaders. So in this process, how do you choose such leaders and how the process will be?
Yes. Let me correct you. Not to choose leaders, create leaders to enable them to create more leaders. Who am I to choose a leader? Who am I to choose a person, a woman? Every woman is empowered. Every woman knows what to do in life. It's just that a little push from my end and she's a leader. So I don't choose leaders. I create a leader, I develop a leader, and I enable her to create more leaders within. I hope it suffices. Okay, philosophy, yes, I'm a child psychologist. Yeah, very brief. Okay, that's a pressure, huh? So yeah, being a psychologist, I deal with people, I understand people and I help to the particular person, especially my team, to overcome what is stopping her from going ahead. That's where the leader is created. Got that? Thank you.
I'm working with a not-for-profit organization called CMI, that's Competitiveness Mindset Institute based in the US. And we are running a program called Finding the Leader in You. Here, the premise is that there is a leader present in every one of us. We don't have to, you don't have to create leaders or anything. There is a leader, you just have to help a person to find that leader in her or him.
That's great.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. No more likes. Yes, ma'am. Louder but very specific.
Revenue generation model.
We want to talk about revenue generation. So when you are building a community, to know where your revenue is coming from. Is it coming from events? Is it coming from the fact that you have built such a kick-ass community that brands who want to target your community members are reaching out to you and saying, hey, we'll pay you so much money, but can we engage with your community? So there are various things. You could be selling products, you could have a marketplace along with your community. So there are various kinds of revenue streams. You could be selling products, services, anything. But what I would suggest is if you are building a community, first you need to like a startup, have a validation. Build your MVP, build a small community and try it out. You try it out as an experiment. Experiments are good. Trust me, I keep running lovely experiments but whatever you do, measure.
But at such a low level, is it possible to generate revenue or you have to first build
There are examples where people have done. When you have a meetup of 15 people, so why don't you ask them that you pay 200 rupees? So there is a minimum amount. Once you have those 30 people, there are only companies who would be interested in getting in front of these companies. The key would be building something where those 30-40 people are really interested. At the same time, you are aware about the thing. You are not just aware about those 30 people, you are aware about the ecosystem around them. Then it will open more opportunities for you.
But if you're thinking about creating profits from day one, because for communities, the biggest challenge of any community is to show ROI.
Yes, thanks for picking him.
Thank you for everyone for the call.
Inclusive audience is also inclusive.
Men powered dealing with a lot of university students and at that level. So to build a community, there are a lot of ways to do that. One is of course through friends and family and their extended networks. One is through social media. What according to you would be the current trend in building a community, and what do you see future trends to be coming in with all these like AI and ML coming in? Do you think networks would vanish and something else will come in? Different questions.
So the first question is what connects them. I think whatever technology you build, it's human souls which get connected. I mean, if I see value in you, you see value in me. That's the only tool which connects people, other than all. I mean, social media could be an enabler to get people together, but the core energy behind the connection is the value that two people try to leverage from each other. So I'm not afraid of technology getting into it. Rather, technology will enable you to do it more systematically, but the core philosophy of engagement will not be affected by technology. What we have seen is, yes, layer one, we use social media and other tools to engage people, but hardly that gave 5-10% of results, because if you don't have face-to-face interactions which lead to value creation, then all this virtual interaction doesn't make much sense. Transaction cost of engaging stakeholders in a community, if it is only physical, is too high. So in terms of economic sense, you should have a virtual engagement plus a physical interaction mode for sure. And the other interesting thing which is essential for all these things happen is, you should have a very stringent mechanism to evaluate at what direction you are moving, at what magnitude. Because only within community who are meeting for kitty party or tea party doesn't make any sense if the measurement is not there. And sometimes people get benefited, but as many of them told, is the value getting shared with all. I mean, me and Jatin have been a part of a community called Global Civil Community, which is a so-called elite community by World Economic Forum. It's across cities of all the countries of the world. But then, if you look at which chapter or which hub in country like India, right, and hub is creating value, is there's a lot of skew, right? So Ahmedabad hub was the best hub at some point of time, despite Delhi and Bangalore had best people. So sometimes the mechanism of this community really makes sense. But I will suggest you, yes, you use technology for integration of follow-up engagement models, but somehow you should have a physical model of engaging people, because that's extremely essential.
Yes.
All of you agree with that?
So wonderfully said, and yes, but I would also echo me talking about AI and a lot of things, right? It is very important that each woman needs to be mindful in her talks and her behavior, because that's an assistant to the founder or the team who's working out to, sustain the community. Let me cite an example here. So I'm a practicing psychologist, and I had somebody, a woman, come up with her child to my office, and behavioral issues like a client. And before leaving, once the fees was done, she was leaving my cabin, and she said, "तुम तो वो हो ना जो लज्जा चलाती हो." I said, "Yes." आपको कुछ information चाहिए थी? तुमको देख के लगता नहीं है तुम लज्जा चलाती हो. Why? Because that day I was wearing a trouser and a shirt. Why judgmental? Can't a lady in shorts or can't a lady in trousers run a women community? Right? So we have to be non-judgmental. When we are talking about non-judgmental space giving up to each other, we have to actually implement that. It's not about the attire, it's about the work the person is doing, and that should be given the importance.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Since you're talking about technology and all, I met the founder of Baby Destination, and all of her, she has numerous WhatsApp groups. Her community runs on different WhatsApp groups, and they are one of the few people in India who are using conversational AI. And I had to look that up. And because I'm very averse to WhatsApp groups, I was taken aback. And I said, oh my God, look where the world is going if you know your target audience is on WhatsApp. And you don't need to be a snob and say, hey, I don't want to do, because I don't want to do a WhatsApp group, but I realized that she's already taken it to the next level, where they're using technology and yet the simplest form of a WhatsApp group, where you know the support group is available at everyone's phone.
So Lacha works on that system.
So I think most of what we have, and we're heading towards that direction to get the conversation. Yeah, the conversation needs to be with your community.
So we have a couple of we have city-based WhatsApp groups, you know, and I'm directly connected over WhatsApp with 12,000 women, and I'm accessible to them, right? And we discuss.
Promote some of their initiatives to your audience.
Sorry? Sure, why not? Yeah, and since it's a social enterprise, I would say I'm somebody who will charge, but yes, I will help if something is there and when I can help, I will help.
Okay, awesome. We'll take last question and then we'll wrap up this. Both of you speak up and whoever wants to answer, they'll answer. Yes, sir, you speak up first.
So my community, the enthusiasm and the energy is great within the first 2 to 3 months. But then, after a certain period of time, the engagement level among the members of the community decreases. So that is a challenge that we are facing right now. So we are trying all kinds of innovations, still we are not up to that level. So what are your actionable tips on this?
So you're talking about the enthusiasm of the member
and values. So how exactly do you quantify community building or whether a community is being built? So that was the initial part.
This is a general knowledge question or you yourself are trying to figure out how to quantify your efforts?
No. How I'm asking the question.
It is general knowledge.
Yeah, it's a general knowledge.
Yes,
and
this one more then follow the
so there's a second part to it also. So
okay.
What happens is normally at the ideation stage, people are quite reluctant to share their ideas or prototypes or maybe scalable models with people because they have a fear. So how do you overcome that and then build a community during your ideation stage?
Okay.
So this was a startup.
Okay, the second question was pertaining to a startup community wherein you interact and you create a prototype and you have to like run it, or pilot run it or something like that. So that is what context I was talking.
I'll just quickly say one thing is that no idea in the world is unique. It's always the execution.
That's
right.
All the नाम तो कंट्रोल कर रहे हो तभी अपन कहाँ से लाओगे? आइडिया शेयर करो कहीं ना कहीं किसी ने करा ही होगा. Yes, Hiranmay.
You wanted me to answer that. So you want to talk about the enthusiasm of the members or of the core team?
Enthusiasm among the members
Members.
of the community.
Okay. So it's called the art of engagement. It's both. I say it's an art and a science. Okay. So science is here. Where are you building it on? Is it a Facebook group or is it on an app or a
We are
platform?
building it offline and we stay connected through WhatsApp group.
Okay. So one thing that really helps is content. It keeps you always excited, and especially if it is user-generated content. User-generated content means what we call UGC is content created by your members, your users. Okay. So I keep saying this, that to a community builder, the most exciting, the most powerful currency is UGC and not cryptocurrency. When I say UGC, I need to repurpose it, I need to document it. So what I would suggest is, if you start, like I said, shifting the onus of engagement to your users, you should be able to identify this person likes to share memes. I'm giving you a very rough example. See, a community is also about letting your hair down. Right? Life is very stressful. Support groups are very stressful. Sometimes you need happy hours. We realize that suddenly everybody is just into happy hours. So that means that they like the downtime in this. So we said, why don't we have a dedicated happy hours timing, right? And we gave that to somebody to lead. So make your own people lead certain folks. That will create enthusiasm. Reward them. Have this of the week. Best so and so of the week. Most helpful person of the week. Keep rewarding them. The art of engagement is enormous. And I mean, one can write a book on that. But you need to, your team needs to start reading about engagement and how to keep them. But as long as you involve your members, trust me, you will always have lots of engagement.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. last part for all of you. So as a community,
गोपी और कुछ भी जो छापिया